Back to you, Nate.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
On that note.
Yeah.
Let's talk about trash talk.
Let's talk about trash.
Well, if we're going to
Specifically
talk about trash, we might as well just talk about me. I mean, because I am trash at fucking everything.
Nah, Skrull's pretty bad, too.
No, yeah, Skrull is the worst. No, but let's talk about trash talk, because while I've been on this epic losing streak, I've had more than a few opportunities to hear some trash talk at my expense.
What's been your favorite so far?
Mostly just the teabagging. It's not even trash talk. It's just
the teabagging.
Just the teabagging.
All right.
Anyway,
I actually teabagged someone in Overwatch the other day.
Did you really?
I killed a far. No. I had came up behind a baby Mercy. She was out of her suit, and she didn't even see me. Like, I'm on Zenyatta just charging up my balls. And
phrasing.
No, he throws balls. Came right up behind her and just domed her in the back of the head. Like, she didn't see it fucking coming. And so I'm like, all right, robot balls, here you go.
Robo balls.
Robo balls.
Anyway, so yeah, sort of sparked by or inspired by XQC's recent comments.
Mm-hmm. I'd say kind of the Overwatch League in general.
I mean,
because a few of my stories relate back to the Overwatch League as well. So, I mean, think about it. This is the first time that an esports is getting sort of like this national, like all at once, this big giant national like recognition. Obviously, even further than that, it's being globally recognized, right? But I mean,
sure.
You have.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be an Olympic sport.
You know,
I mean,
regional rivalries. There you go. That's even better. This is the first time that we're really getting in esports true regional rivalries. Look at Texas specifically. They have Dallas and Houston. Texas, I think, is just an inherently competitive state.
Yeah.
And you have 600, 700, 800 people showing up at these watch parties, right?
Though that's a big fucking watch party. Holy shit.
Yeah, we got a message from someone down in, I think, in Dallas, that they had went to a watch party. Haven't played Overwatch before, but they were interested in the league.
Yeah.
They went to this watch party, and there were so many people had showed up, they had to annex 2 other nearby bars to send them into, because so many people are showing up to watch Overwatch League.
I mean, dude, that's crazy.
Yes. So, yeah, even outside of the pros themselves in the actual matches, trash talk is going to get real. And obviously, as people who watch this, it's fun to see these narratives unfold. It's fun to see these players kind of go at each other. And they've known each other forever. Depending on the teams, a lot of them have played with each other before, played with guys on other teams. You know, they've been in competition before. And now they're all staying within such close proximity to each other, because even outside of official matches, they actually scrimmage against the teams.
Right.
And in some of the videos I watch, you know, they're basically, it's kind of like coming to work, and the other teammates, or, you know, the other team guys are kind of like your coworkers. So they see each other on a daily basis, and I think they're mostly probably all on friendly terms, but still, to see rivalry and these narratives, whether real or put on for the camera, as someone who's spectating, it's interesting to watch that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And I don't want to say that trash talk has no place in something like esports or video games, because it does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that it's an intrinsic part of competition. But what are the logical limits? Because obviously XQC ended up stepping over a boundary when saying of the Houston Outlaws player that he would probably enjoy sucking a fat cock, something to that effect.
Yeah, pretty much. Go suck a fat cock, you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, something like that. And so, where is the line? Because I think for so long, especially in video games, because there has been no line drawn for us, right? You can say damn near anything without being moderated or administered off of the platform.
And it's been going on for so long, too. I don't know if you guys recall.
Because it happens at such a fucking ridiculous rate.
Do you guys recall, this would have been when we were back in at Central, so 5, 6, 7 years ago. It made the rounds. There was I think it was a Street Fighter tournament, right? And a guy was going up against a girl, and he had said, "Oh, I'm going to rape you." And there was this big, giant, huge controversy about it, and it basically got dismissed by the majority of the fighting game community, going, "Oh, we've always talked like that, so it's not a big deal."
I do remember this story, yes.
Okay. That's, I think, one of the biggest hurdles, is that it's been done for so long and by so many people that there is, and this isn't even honestly a problem in gaming. This, I think, extends to our culture in general, that because it's been done for so long, it's fine.
I mean, yes, and the fact that there's no consequence for it either directly through the game, unless there's text of it, right? Like if there's some sort of text log of it. But you know, like it's only been very recently that game developers and software has gotten good enough to be able to identify individual words when spoken out loud, and games. I don't think games or gaming platforms like PlayStation Live, whatever the online PlayStation, the PSN, like PSN or Xbox Live, they shouldn't be responsible for having to moderate that type of shit either.
Yeah, no, probably not.
And I'm not saying that, you know, there absolutely needs to be moderation, or there needs to be, but like can we just admit that there's been no accountability, and because there's been no accountability, it's made for an incredibly toxic environment that, I mean, I can understand people that are turned off to gaming almost immediately, especially if, you know, they don't interact with gaming very often. They go check out this new awesome game called PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Everyone's fucking playing it. And the minute you get thrown into that lobby, it's nigger, 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 China #1.
Constantly, without stop.
And that was fucking 4 matches in a row.
And see, and that's the thing. Here's the thing.
4 matches in a row. China #1, and just dumb verbal vomit.
Some people might go into that for the first time and think, oh, you know, it's online, people are crazy. That was a one-off. 4 matches in a row.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I can name, I mean, I bet you if we loaded up a match of PUBG right now, that the minute we get put into that fucking plane, there's going to be either just fucking noise or verbal diarrhea of some sort.
And I don't know that in the games themselves how effective that really anyone can be at curbing that, at stopping that. I think, and I'm hoping that with a more professional scene on the level that Overwatch League and even the NALCS is at this point, that these streamers, because a lot of them, and you know, are streamers and whatnot, are going to have to learn that they have to start changing the way that they act in certain respects. Now, I don't know. I can only hope that that's going to have a sort of trickle down effect. You know, start to maybe create role models like back in traditional sports. We used to have like Michael Jordan, right? People wanted to be like Michael Jordan, right? I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm glad to see people like XQC being fined for that and sort of trying to define where a line is, because trash talk, there is a line, but I think it's really thin, and I think it's except in some extreme circumstances, it's hard to even denote what's acceptable and what's not, because what's acceptable for some people isn't acceptable for other people. And to that note, there is also obviously bad trash talking that is still acceptable, and really clever trash talking. Muma, after defeating the Dallas Fuel, said "rolled and smoked," which was XQC's, I guess, famous catchphrase, which I actually thought was really clever, right? XQC didn't think so. And apparently they've still been using it, or people have been using it just for other teams now. So
because it really bothers him.
It does. It bothers the hell out of him.
Good.
And I think that that's actually pretty clever, but just going and throwing, like...
I'm going to start using it.
Rolled and smoked.
I'm going to start using it. Fuck it. Why not?
Tag him every time you do.
I don't know. On Checkpoint.
When you win?
On Checkpoint.
When?
Just at the most... Not even when it's applicable.
Yeah.
Not even when it's applicable.
Exactly.
All right, fair enough.
That is actually hilarious.
And the thing is I think I want to do it just because it bothers him too.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But the thing is that, and I'm sure that there are members of the audience that are like, well, but Nate, this is very confusing because I've heard you get very aggressive with callers, and I've heard you yell and shit talk people on your stream all the time. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not, I mean, I'm not trying to say that shit talking and trash talking isn't fun or has no place, but it does have limits.
Yes.
Right? Like I think it has some very clear limits, and you know, Overwatch League does have a way of being able to punish players, unlike, random shit that you get thrown into. But it's just like, dude, it's so rampant among gamers to find that kind of environment normative. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's also kind of
the
concerning.
Scary thing about it. We were actually, Chris and I were talking on the way here.
To the point where, like dumb shit like, do you know the way? Gets kind of like fucking, like, why a meme like that is tone deaf or offensive is completely lost on people. Like, they just have no fucking idea.
You tell them that it's racist. They're like, what? How?
Well, I mean, we don't really need to go back over that.
Yeah.
But, it's just, it's fucking, it's shit like that that's kind of allowed to breed and fester that gets really, I mean, it doesn't get under my skin. I could honestly fucking care less. But I think that it turns a lot of people off from gaming, and I think that if people sit around and wonder why isn't video gaming taken more seriously, or why aren't gamers taken more seriously?
That's why.
It's because whenever you load into a match of anything,
and here's the thing,
you have a pretty high percentage of running into some dumb, toxic bullshit.
Specifically with, I'm going to use Overwatch as an example, too. There are a lot of people that I know that are interested in it, don't want to play it, but they want to learn more about it, right? When you're trying to get into something that maybe you don't have, like, a super vested interest in, and you got to work a little bit to understand and kind of get into the culture and stuff. When you're already working to try to learn something or to try to like something, and then you find out there's this other negative aspect that goes along with it.
Yeah.
That could potentially, this could have been something that you got really into, really, really enjoyed, but because of shit like that, you just decide, you know what, no, I'm going to check out. It's not worth getting to learn this and maybe have fun if I have to deal with this shit or try and ignore this shit the entire time that it's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the point where I'm at.
Oh.
Like, I'm just like, is it even worth it to go to play online anymore? I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I enjoy the challenge and the dynamicness of fighting another human being. I don't like interacting with you guys.
You just want to kill them.
I don't.
Or be killed. One of the two.
And let it just end there. Okay, yeah, you got me. You won. Oh, boy.
You'll get me the next 3 times, too, but maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't this fucking shit get... Like, doesn't it wear thin on anyone else? Like, I feel like even like anyone who's even remotely psychologically damaged could really walk away even more psychologically damaged by getting, just having one bad fucking day playing online.
Well, because
you just get shit hurtled at you. And why? For what reason? Like, I would love to think that this is just kids, and kids got the bulk of the blame for a long time. But
we're starting to realize it's not.
And I'm not saying I don't hear kids doing dumb shit on video games online. Way too often, it's someone who has a voice as deep as mine.
Honestly, yes, 100%. In fact, there's probably been more times in Overwatch competitive matches where the person being toxic is absolutely an adult, and there have been a few times where what sounds like a 7 or 8 year old kid is the one trying to talk like common sense and be like, guys, can we just focus on the match and play nice? Nope. The adults say no.
No, you sure fucking can't. And I mean, like, I get it. Your ego is wrapped up in this shit, and you want to be able to brag, and you want to be able to, I don't know. I don't even know what the end game is, because if you're not even, close to going pro, you're not going to see a payday out of it. Just fucking why bother? That's part of my other problem. I do not have. I have OCD within me, but I don't have enough OCD to like dedicate myself enough to one game,
right,
where I can study it for that long. And I mean, and it's not like I play a lot of games either. So it's frustrating for me because I don't even see the end of a lot of the games that I play, because I just kind of lose interest maybe halfway through, and I don't feel like dedicating myself to be able to get good enough to take it online.
So is there an answer to this?
Definitely not. No. I mean,
I think that's the problem.
I'm just venting about it because I'm fucking tired of hearing it.
That's, I think, what's most exhausting to me is that there's not even anything you can do about it. I'd actually like to point out in a recent developer update, they mentioned recently with Overwatch, they've actually reduced the number of abusive chat reports by 17%, and actual reporting is up 20% because recently they implemented a thing to where if someone that you've reported has action taken against them, it sends you a message saying one of your reports we took action against, right? So they're actually, Blizzard is, I guess,
trying to police it a little bit more.
And to a certain degree successfully. They've also mentioned too that in certain instances they are proactively looking for toxic behavior. One of the biggest, I think, things that you can find Overwatch-related on YouTube is people who go into a match, they're as toxic as they can possibly be, and then they upload it because, haha, this shit's funny to watch, right? Blizzard's now says that they're policing that, and, like, really, really bad examples of it, they'll figure out whose account that is, and they'll take action against them.
I mean, that's good on Blizzard. Someone's going to have to do it, but most game companies and developers don't have those types of resources.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't think PUBG's ever going to bother doing anything.
Why would they? I mean, you have the option. Listen, you have the option to be able to turn that in-game voice chat off. And I get that. And I do a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But it's dismaying to me as someone who really loves gaming. And who has dedicated so much of my career to talking about games that, when you get right down to it, the people who are interacting in this community are just fucking some of the worst people that I've ever, some of the best, but also some of the fucking worst people.
And the other problem too is I think that this problem might seem bigger than it is, because as we said before, a lot of new people coming in see this and they decide, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And I think that can also be said of people who have been here the entire time, but because they don't want to deal with it, they don't interact at all. So we have what seems like this big population of toxic gamers. I think it's smaller in the grand scheme of things because so many of us stay quiet because we just don't want to deal with it.
But I mean, like, and to your point, what do you actually do about it?
I don't think.
I don't know that there's really not an answer.
There
isn't.
I don't think there isn't.
Let's go to our phone lines and talk to Meter Man. What's going on, Meter Man?
Hey guys. So I got to watch my first OWL on Thursday because, well, I wanted to see the Outlaws. I mean, they're my team. I'm from Houston.
Yeah, Outlaws.
So,
woo.
But walking into that, right on the Overwatch League webpage is Prophet has been fined for obscene gesture during the contest. This is my first time ever watching it, and these guys are so toxic they can't even shut up.
Hold on, just really quick. Did you read the Prophet thing at all? Because I think that it did come at a very inopportune moment on his part right after the XQC thing.
I did, where he was supposedly talking to his coach, and they could see the video, and he didn't expect it to be on the stream.
Yeah, he was basically flipping off people in the dugout for making fun of him, and he just happened to be up.
But still, you don't see Major League Baseball players looking at their coach saying, F you, because, you told me not to swing away and I got a hit.
Let me ask you this.
I don't know that that's entirely true, because I actually do. I mean, you see managers and shit get up in umpires' faces. So I mean, there is an element of that in sports.
And you don't think that down in the dugouts or on the sidelines somewhere that out of earshot, because obviously when it comes to traditional sports, I mean, there's a lot of shit going on all over the place, that they're not giving each other shit? I mean, how often do we...
they definitely are.
How often do we sit here and say, fuck you, we call him a fat fucking ass? Like that middle finger, that was to me the equivalent of that, but because it was on camera, it was.
See, I think yes,
it was still technically against the rules.
Yes,
so that's why they fined him.
And they had to follow through on it, and they couldn't turn a blind eye to it because XQC would sit there and go, "Oh, but what?
He did
but
anyway.
You punished me.
He did anyway.
Of course he did.
But he doesn't get to. How many games was he banned for?
Because he's a belly aching little fucking asshole.
Yes. Now, I do agree with you though that yes, the Overwatch community is very toxic, but unfortunately, I think the profit thing came at just the absolutely wrong time for him.
I think that's different, and I do think that actually speaks to sort of the more nature of competition, because as I used to work at an ESPN radio station, and we used to have to carry play-by-play of baseball and basketball, some football, and especially basketball. You would hear shit from the court all the time, and it a lot of times it would contain profanity, and I don't think any of the players ever got in trouble for anything like that. The broadcasters never really got in trouble for anything like that. It's what's called a passing expletive, or
something you can't really control.
It's a transient expletive. That's what it's called. And yeah, you're not held responsible for things like that. And I think that is much closer probably to what happened with Prophet. I think the thing with XQC is much, 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 much different, because this is not in a tournament environment. This is not in a play environment. This is not even in an environment where he didn't have control over where the cameras were pointing like Prophet did.
It was his
XQC was on his personal stream. He was talking to the camera, trash talking on purpose. And I'm not saying that the trash talking was the problem, and I don't even know, I'm not LGBT, so I'm not even really someone to say whether or not what he said went too far. Clearly, to Blizzard and to the Dallas Fuel, that was too far. That was over the line. And
it was pattern behavior.
And again, my line is going to be way different from anyone else's. Okay, that's I don't think the issue here. I think the issue is, if we're not going to draw these lines as gamers, right? If we're not going to try to take control of this,
somebody else will.
We leave it in the hands of people like Blizzard, or people like Twitch, or people like YouTube, the people who control the actual fucking purse strings to allow us to do what we do as gamers, as broadcasters, as professionals. That's, I think, really the problem, is that there is no governor being put on this valve. There is it's just shit upon shit upon shit. And there's nothing that we as a community do to try to address this, or to even talk about it. How often does this stupid toxic sludge get talked about?
All the fucking time.
Like the way that we're talking about it now, maybe in casual conversation.
No, people complain about it all the time.
People do complain about it all the time.
But they never want to do anything about it.
Well, but then, you hear about things like, oh, well, Xbox Live wants to monitor in-game chats, and then people fucking light their hair on fire, and they go, oh, well, it's Big Brother, it's Big Brother. You can't have both. You can't have both. And clearly, having no moderation, you guys you're still acting like children with it. And not even the children. The grown fucking adults are acting like children with it.
Yep.
That's the part that bothers me. Mm-hmm. That as a 33-year-old adult gaming enthusiast, that shit bothers me.
Yeah, you're not alone. Now, Mirror Man, I actually have a question for you, and then this might lead into to the story I wanted to tell. You said you're an Outlaws fan, so I'm sure that you watched them play against the Florida Mayhem, right? On Thursday.
I wouldn't have called that a game. I wouldn't have called those matches.
That's fair. That's fair. But you saw the interview afterwards with Zoe and Jake, right?
Yes.
What did you think of that interview?
Yeah, Jake has got some class.
Oh,
he's got some real class.
You think he has class?
Well, I get where you're going to go, but I mean, he could have been like, oh, hell yeah, I'm not that good at improving, so my speech.
But I mean, like,
okay, for those of you that
explain, I'm in a little bit in the dark.
That are wondering, so I basically asked them about their upcoming match against the Gladiators, who are a pretty decent team. They gave the Valiant a real big run for their money. And, Jake said that, look, they have their flaws just like anybody else does. They have a very distinct style, but they tend to stick to that. And, we're gonna exploit that. And she asked him, well, what do you think the match is going to be? And he goes, 4-0. And you got kind of like a ooh from the crowd. And he's like, sorry, that's what it's going to be, right? And now I'm an Outlaws fan too, and I absolutely love Jake. I'd marry him if I could. And I thought that it was great. I thought it was setting up a really great rivalry. And when I was talking to a friend of mine, he's like, nah. No, every time I see Jake up there, he's a fucking asshole. He's too cocky.
Good.
He's like, I can deal with trash talk, but that's too much.
Oh, come on.
Oh, God.
No.
Complain about it.
Hang on. Now, I do want to point out something here, Robbie. Is that what he was doing was not trash talking. He was driving heat. There's a difference, because that's the reaction that an opposing fan is supposed to have. Trash talk me all you want. Call me a faggot all you want. But the minute you say that you're going to beat me on the field, then it kind of changes it, right?
Well, the other thing that I thought, too, was that it was a really clever tactic as well. Because if you call the Gladiators out for having a very specific style and strategy, they might then think, let's try to switch it up when we play them, which would put you at a weaker game.
Yeah.
Which doesn't even make sense, by the way, because, in Horizon, Gladiators use the Slambulance, which is like 3 or 4 tanks in Moira, and just cruise through the point. So, yeah, they use the same strat all the time, except that they used a completely different strat this other time.
But you all right there?
No.
What'd you do?
I knocked over the fleshlight.
Oh.
What?
This is not a flash... Oh,
No,
it's a flashlight.
It's an actual flashlight.
Why do you have a flashlight?
I mean...
I like how he doesn't question if you have a flashlight or not. But
yeah,
a flashlight,
that the flashlight would be okay, but the flashlight, yeah. I see, but the difference is that, like, that kind of trash talk is supposed to drive hatred with a fan of an opposing team.
Which, by the way, they did go 4-0.
Right? Like, XQC's comment doesn't drive hatred with the other team. That drives hatred of the person.
Actual hatred.
That's what the wrestlers call go-away heat. XQC has go-away heat. On the other hand, the member of the Outlaws, Jake, has legitimate heat, but that's heat that will sell tickets.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the difference. That's the difference. No one's going to buy tickets because XQC said homophobic things on his stream. People will buy tickets if they think that they're going to watch Jake, who they think is too cocky, is going to get his ass handed to him.
And
right?
Yeah. And
big difference.
And it goes even further, because at the end, or as they were going through, like, between the matches, they show like the cams and stuff and everything. Every time it popped up on him or Raucus, they'd give you a little 4-0.
I mean, see, like.
When I was driving home, I was trying to listen to it on Twitch, and I was going through like back roads, like my signal was constantly cutting out. Oh, I was so pissed.
Big difference.
So pissed.
Big difference. Meaner Man, I've heard you try to get a word in edgewise. What do you want to say?
You guys are awesome, but
I know we are. Thank you.
Well,
same.
Is that any different from saying we're number 1 and we're undefeated? Is that the same thing though? That's not being cocky. That's just saying, hey.
No,
we've got everything. We know how they're going to play, and this is how we're going to play.
That's confidence.
Professional sports, and I look at the way they interviewed some of those players, and they've got those restrictions on them. Ochocinco or Chad Johnson would often basically do his little bit of trash talk, but at no point he was like anything XQC would do,
right?
Or he would say, "Hey, yeah, this is the cornerback I'm going to eliminate next week. I'm going to score a touchdown on." And he was cocky as shit, but you know what?
Right?
It didn't matter. He was within his bounds, and you know what? I watched Bengals when he actually played for them. Now I don't watch him because, well, never mind.
Here. Let me demonstrate. Actually, let me demonstrate the difference right here. I'll be able to demonstrate the difference.
Oh boy!
All right. Here is what here's the Outlaws player. Jake. Here's what Jake did. Okay, that's what
Jake from State Farm.
Right. Yes, in his khaki pants. Here's what he was able to do. Right. There's 2 different ways to respond to the statement that you said. The reason that this drives heat is because what he said with confidence. And that's the reaction that you get when you're addressing a whole bunch of beta males. Okay? Here's XQC. Yep, that's what happens when you're talking to faggots. Big difference. Big fucking difference. Says the same thing. Exact, almost the same insult. There's a big difference between the way that those two messages are delivered. And I think that matters, right?
100%.
Correct me if I'm wrong, chat room. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Meterman, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Have a good. I'll see you guys at LBR.
Yep, take it easy, man. If you want to give us a call, let us know what you think. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. You can also call in on Discord. That's limitbreakradio.com/Discord. And, you know, that I think is the best way to sort of set it out right there. Is that, yeah, like we all know gamers as a collective tend to be a little bit more introverted. They tend to be, I mean, beta males is a tough way to say it, but I think that can be,
it gets the message
largely true. There are not that many alphas that exist among gamers, let's be honest. And that, you know, like the way that you say that matters, because the second way that I put it, calling everyone faggots, that's going to get go away heat.
Leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Yeah,
exactly.
In fact, 'cause I wasn't really sure exactly where you're going with all of that at first. So when you said the beta males thing, I thought, oh, that's a good one. That, like, you got the actual exact response out of me that I think you would have in any situation. You get
driving heat.
Oh,
shit.
Type stuff.
Like, oh man, this guy's on a gaming podcast and calling gamers a bunch of beta males.
Thank you.
That's tough. Both statements are tough to swallow. One drives heat. The other drives go away heat.
Hate. It's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly. We'd love to hear from you. Again, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Let's go to Piggy. Piggy, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
Yeah, how you doing?
I can only hear you. I can't actually see you.
Yeah. What's up?
I just wanted to backtrack back to, like, overall toxicity, like, regardless of what game you're playing. Like, I used to be always vocal, like, playing Halo back when it was relevant. And, like, I would just get flamed for no reason. And it's gotten to the point where, like, I just refuse to plug in my microphone in any game. I just don't talk at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, for, like, and like you said, Piggy, for, like, no reason either. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget, dude. I'll never forget watching, you know, hanging out this back when I was in college, and before I could buy weed from a store, right? When I had to still, like, know a guy to have to buy weed, the guy that I was buying weed through used to hang out with a whole bunch of dudes in my building that were like frat guys, right? Like they didn't have a frat that they were a part of, but they used to sit around and play, you know, split screen Halo all fucking day, and Nazi Zombies when that came out was really big with those guys. And I'll never forget watching this guy who's 35 at the time jump on a game of Nazi Zombies and continuously rag like a 9-year-old kid into the dirt. Now, was I sitting around laughing and giggling at all the shit that he was talking? Of course I was. But at the same time, like, if that's what you have to do in every online game that you go into, at what point do you end up burning out? And like Piggy said, unplug the fucking microphone and just be done with the whole thing. Because I'm damn near at that point as well, where I'm just blanketly muting the in-game voice chat for things like PlayerUnknown's Battleground without even giving it a second thought. And I think that is definitely problematic, because that sucks, man. Who wants, you know, I mean, I guess in PUBG it doesn't fucking matter. Unless you're playing, you know, squads or doubles. But it still is a shitty aspect of, like, you know, because the community actually does mean something to me. The quality of people that are playing games does mean something to me. And I mean, yeah, you could say that that's just a cross section of humanity and of people, and it's no worse than, you know, than your average cross section of just any part of humanity. That may also be true. It's just depressing after a while. It gets to you. It weighs on you. That sucks. That part of it really does fucking suck.
Like, even, like, I was playing Overwatch probably a couple of weeks back doing my placement matches, and that's about it. I just had one shitty game, and I didn't even have my microphone plugged in, and I was getting messages telling me to go kill myself and leave.
And that's really, like, I think everyone knows that that's, of course, over the line, but it happens so often. It's such a common occurrence that, you know, yeah, man, that's fucking tough. And again, you know, you don't need to do a whole lot to elicit messages like that, right? Like, I logged into FF14 very quickly last night. Had a very slow dungeon run. No fault of mine. It was the 2 DPS. Both of them were new. First time going through the dungeon. The fucking healer, like, after we were done, would not, like, he sat there in fucking paragraphs.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it wasn't directed at me, but at the same time, it's just like, what was the point of this? And it was that same fucking thing. It was the same thing that had been done to me in the past, where they pre-typed all of this throughout the dungeon, and then right before they hit the exit, they hit send. And it's just like, you know, I'd be like, I felt bad. I had to sit there and be like, dude, don't fucking worry about him. He's a piece of shit. Like, I hate having to excuse the actions of people that I'm playing with. And you do have to do that sometimes. Inevitably, you're going to be put in that situation. Where you're like,
makes the community look bad all the way around. Too.
Totally.
See, I think that the problem with that just is because as we said, there's no way to fix any of this. There's no answer to it. So long as there is anonymity on the internet, that's going to be there. Which I think is why people, in a lot of cases, stopped combating it. To go back to a story I was telling earlier, Juxta, you said that you at one point had stopped worrying about putting in reports for toxic behavior in Overwatch because it was everywhere. It wasn't doing anything.
Can't avoid it. Why bother?
And it was only until Blizzard actually started sending out those messages that saying, you know, we appreciate your report, action has been taken, that a lot of people are like, okay, it's actually doing something now.
Well, and to your point earlier, like getting actual messages back, like action has been
feedback.
taken. Yeah, that's, I think, also very important to make people feel like their message is not just being thrown into a hole.
Yeah, because what ends up happening in a lot of my competitive matches, whether people are being actually toxic for reasons or not, or even just being fucking stupid, like people making fapping noises through the microphone or having music, just stupid shit like that. Like when you come into team chat before the match even starts and that's there, everyone who is sane or has any common decency immediately leaves the voice chat and then reports you.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's any way that even we could, because here's the thing, again, with the anonymity, even if you decide as a group, you know, this guy's being hateful, you know, making fun of the Mercy main because it's a girl, even if everyone in the party starts trying to fight back, it doesn't matter. You can't do anything to him. He has the anonymity of the internet.
Right.
In fact,
he'll just go make another account, too.
And he has more power over you in the moment because he's going to throw the match for you. So why fight back against these people when you can just put them on mute?
That seems like such just a... Like it's
a shitty thing to have to deal with it that way.
It's such a not satisfying answer.
At all.
Fucking hate it. Piggy, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. Always appreciate hearing from you. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord if you want to call in. Thoughts on trash talk. Where is your line? What's your worst trash talk story? Give us a call. Final Encountercast, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord to call in on Discord. Has it ever made you stop playing a game?
I have a story that I want to tell, actually.
Okay.
Because I actually like that. Your worst trash talk story. And immediately when I think about that, it's like, well, I don't think I really have any, because like I said, whenever I get into a situation like that, I just remove myself, because there's no winning, right?
Right.
But what happens when that worst trash talk story is something you can't get away from? What if it's someone on your team or a friend of yours? I have this guy that I play with that I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. Like through and through. There's overall, I think he's a pretty decent guy. And I don't know if this is just something that happens to gamers or if it's just a male thing overall. But he a lot of the times it seems like he's really self-aware of things. But then when you actually get right down to it, when you actually get into like a match of Overwatch, for example, and something's going wrong, even when no one's even necessarily to blame, because sometimes the other team is just better than you are, right?
Yeah.
They adapt better than you are. They play better than you are. Or
there is always going to be someone who is better than you.
There is. And sometimes if you're losing, even if it's really badly to something you shouldn't be losing to, sometimes there's just not an answer for it, right?
Sometimes you're playing on tilt.
Right. Oh my God, especially if you're on tilt. And at that point, you just got to take the loss. Or just try your best, try to have a good game.
Right.
What I can't stand about this guy is he's the one that will go into voice chat and start blaming other people, start getting at them, start yelling at them, and whether or not they were playing to their fullest or not. Once you do this, once you start instigating this hostile behavior, that can't ever help. No one is going to be on the receiving end of hostility and think, oh man, you're right, I better get my shit together. Or suddenly their skill becomes better, right? And what ends up happening in most cases is that person, well, you know what, we're already losing, so fuck it, I'm going to throw now. And the whole thing just goes downhill.
And then you just get the confirmed loss.
Confirmed loss. Chris, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
It's Skuro.
Yeah.
That's you, Skuro. That's something that you need to work on.
And here's the thing is that, like, if you're assessing somebody's play style, especially somebody on your team, berating them, worst possible choice.
It's not going to help.
No.
Ever. 0%.
When has that ever helped for anyone ever? If you did bad on a math test and your teacher's sitting there going, well, dummy, you just did you fucked up another you fucked up another math test. Clearly you're unteachable. Like, you would never want to go back to that class ever.
No. Best case scenario when someone does that is the person on the receiving end mutes you and just keeps doing what they were doing. That is the best case scenario.
Yeah. And if it's someone on your team, if it's a team that you're trying to grow, that you want people to still continue to show. I mean, dude, why do you think raid groups break apart so often? People get frustrated and then they're like, you're not doing your shit. Instead of noticing that person wasn't doing their shit, addressing it, they just let the fucking mistakes keep piling up. And then they go, finally, after the 30th mistake, motherfucker, move! And at that point, you've completely lost the ability to communicate.
You actually just reminded me of probably one of my favorite moments in Overwatch. We had a match that we ended up losing. We had a guy on Winston who had ulted, which makes him close to next to invincible almost, who was holding the point for us, but he kept jumping. He jumped so high in the air, you technically count as being off the point for a split second. And so the thing keeps on ticking higher and higher and higher, and that's why we ended up losing, right? So afterwards, like at the end of the match, I was shouting at him in the Discord, but not at the actual dude. But after the match, I was like, hey, just so you know, when you use Winston's ult like that, like usually you want to use it to like try and clear the zone and keep them off the point, not necessarily go for kills, because usually you'd be chasing people off the point with it. I got a message afterwards, and he's like, I did not even realize that every time I jumped that it was ticking up like that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I mean, simple little caveats to things like, going, hey, buddy, do you want some feedback? Or, hey, I noticed...
Can I offer you a little advice?
I noticed some things that you were doing. Yeah, can I offer you some advice? That's great.
When you do this happens, just be aware of it. And then, like, they could not be aware of it, and they're like, oh,
well,
yeah.
but I mean, like, even putting it out there, if you're just putting it out there, it sounds like you're putting somebody on blast. And if you're dealing with someone who, again, not to paint with a wide brush here or anything, but if you're dealing with someone who doesn't have the best social communication ability in the world, going, hey, man, I don't know if you know this or not, that sounds a little condescending. So approaching it like, hey, dude, I noticed something. Do you mind if I give you some feedback? Asking permission to give feedback, I think is actually like if you are genuinely concerned about team comp moving forward, fucking that is one of the biggest things that you can do is watch your fucking approach, man.
Everybody wants to get better, right? So,
Yes.
but they don't necessarily want to be told that they suck.
Exactly.
When I was up at Central in acting, one of my friends was a director for us when we were doing a student-led thing, and something that I noticed the second or third rehearsal that we did is the way that he would ask you to do something else. Would he go, hey, I saw what you were doing there and I really like it, but could you try this? And usually it ended up leading to something that was great, because when I was watching that Winston guy play, he was going for the kills, sure, and that's fine, but you were also off the point, and everyone knows the objective is, well, the objective. So.
Right. But I mean, like, this show operates off of a lot of beat-down comedy and a lot of trash talk, one against another. But, I think what people might tend to forget is that we've been friends for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, we've developed the rapport with one another to where, when we make fun of Chris or when we make fun of Robbie or I'm in the fucking ringer, that, we know how things are supposed to be received. I don't think anyone leaves here going like, man, did he really mean that fat comment? Like, at least I hope you don't. Fat.
Yeah, he leaves going, he meant it a little bit.
Just a little. Only because I worry about your health.
Now I wish I had cake.
We all wish you had cake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you could share it.
Exactly. Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Zeldoria. What's going on, Zeldoria?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for calling in.
I'm good. I just wanted to talk about, trash talking. I can't play Overwatch anymore with my friends because whenever we play, it's just everyone's yelling at each other, and it gets to a point where it's ridiculous, and I don't find it fun anymore.
Like, your teammates are yelling at each other?
Yeah, is it like bringing out a different side of your friends that, like, you just don't think you like?
No, I mean, we all, like, you guys, we make fun of each other all the time. It's just, everyone's just yelling, and it's like, I don't enjoy playing this if, two people are over here yelling, like, about, missing a Pharah play, and it's quick play, and I'm, jumping on Sombra because it's funny, even though it makes no sense.
Okay, yeah, I got that. See, that's kind of what we run into with Skrull a little bit, because he's a decent player, but when he gets put on tilt, he turns into a different guy, and he goes too far with it, and it's not fun to play with him.
Yeah, actually, two of my friends, they're both plat, pushing even higher than that. Usually, I think right now they're actually currently diamond. They'll play with us in quick play, and just they yell at each other all the time, and they live together, and they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and it's just like, I don't know how that you find this fun. It's ridiculous.
So it's like they can't separate the fun of quick play and the seriousness of competitive.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he's fine with it. He'll do the same thing. He'll hop on Hanzo. Like, this is before, the stupid, scattershot thing. But he would hop on Hanzo just because, he was
quick
there.
Play. That's what you do.
Yeah. And even he, when they would play comp, she'd never let them play Hanzo. But then she went away for a little bit, so the whole weekend he just sat and played Hanzo and did better than anything else. And he said, "This is great. She's not here. I can play Hanzo."
Oh, that's so terrible. Like a closet Hanzo player.
That's funny.
So have you tried to talk to them about it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
Chill out.
Have you ever brought that up? How it's like, yo, your bullshit is making it really not fun to play with you.
Oh, no, I do all the time. I said, this is why, I'll still be in, Skype with them when they're playing. I'm like, you guys know this is why I don't play, because all you do is yell at each other. And they're like, yeah, we know. We don't even care at this point. We just hate this game, but play it nonstop.
Okay, see? People like that, they're the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't... Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I can also understand, especially with my relationship to FF14, how you can... kind of keep doing that and how it can be a little bit annoying. But yeah, I totally get your point that, and I don't think I've ever experienced it where it's been my friends who, I'm suddenly annoyed by the way that they conduct themselves. We've been in FF11, we were in endgame link shells together and stuff like that, and I never got annoyed with you guys as players.
No,
That's
no.
because you were never around.
Well, that was later on. That was way later on. But when I was actually like making real efforts to show up to things, like I don't think that I ever got annoyed with you guys.
Well, and to Nate's point too, in Overwatch, I've played with a very, very wide variety of fans and friends now, and I don't think that I've ever been annoyed with behavior. Some people have pointed out that when we're on losing streaks on stream, I get really quiet. When I think that there's no hope, because the people I'm playing with, Zenless Heart Slot, are just so bad that there's nothing we can do to turn it around, I think I just get down on myself because I'm like, there's nothing we can do. We're just losers.
Did you try yelling at them before?
No, I didn't.
You should try that.
I feel like the only time that I actually do yell at people is if I'm on stream and therefore kind of in character. So it's kind of expected of me. You know what I mean?
People do show up just to watch you melt down.
Well, but the thing is that a lot of times, if we're doing like...
You should just go all Mr. Rogers one day.
But if we're doing like an 18-man, you know what I mean? Like, there's... Like, the chance that people are listening is very minimal... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting that shit into chat. I'm not being like, you specifically are fucking terrible. It's just like I'm bitchy in general. But that's kind of the salty character, right? Like, that's why people come to the stream. And so, like, I think that's why I have, like, a bit of a split opinion on it. Because, I appreciate trash talk, and I appreciate getting all salty and angry, because I do it all the fucking time. But at the same time, like, it does get a bit overbearing and abrasive. And when it's about you, then it's just like, ugh.
See, that's why earlier I talked about like how there is a line, and it is a very fine line, right? Let's go back to XQC's comment, right? If at the end, why don't you just fuck off and go over there? Had he said, because the next time that I see you and I'm not on the sideline, we'll see who's getting rolled and smoked. Would there have been any issue whatsoever?
Well, and again, I think
sounds like a personal threat.
To Piggy's point in the chat, yelling in voice chat really doesn't solve anything.
No, they just yell back.
And again, if I'm on stream and I'm complaining about someone, I'm not complaining down voice chat to them. Right? Like, I don't expect them to come seek out my stream and get tips about their fucking performance. What I'm doing is just playing up the fucking annoyance for the camera, or else you have to, like someone said, be Mr. Rogers with it and be like, oh, well, that loss doesn't mean much. We're going to...
That would be so funny.
Like, it would be stupid. No one would buy it. No one would believe it. No one would believe it. But the thing is that there's a difference between doing that on a stream where you're performing for people, and there's a difference between that and projecting it at people in a very in a way that you've got to own. Anyway, Zeldoria, thank you very much for the call. Appreciate it. That's all we got time for, really. I know Skuro's on the line, but we've got 2 minutes.
I kind of want to know why.
Got 2 minutes, Skuro. Come on.
Unmute yourself, moron.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, there we go.
Jesus. I really hope
I'm using the mobile version, man. It's hard.
I really hope that you did the Checkpoint podcast for this week, because I have not even...
You're going to the Lions Den now.
Pretty sure.
Oh,
anyway, what are you calling for?
What the fuck do you want?
Okay, anyway. Yeah, no, I totally agree with this talk about, the toxic talk. That's fine, I'm just saying, when you get someone that is blatantly, being a dick towards you, in game, it's hard to kind of keep that shit in.
Okay, what does it solve yelling at them? Because if they're already blatantly being a dick, yelling at them isn't going to stop anything. In fact, what it's probably going to do is bring down the morale of the other 4 people who are actually trying.
And that's why I will say, usually, I just try to kind of keep it, after a match. Because, of course, there's times where, even the biggest dick is going to be like, you know what? This team's actually kind of fucking trying. Maybe I'll actually grow a little bit of a heart and actually try to swing this. But then there's a point where basically, a dude's picking, the most inefficient pick, not really doing anything with it, has gone 2 fucking rounds in that shit, and is locking that motherfucker in, and literally just not even in comms. To be honest, sometimes it feels good to at least kind of vent it out that, I'm essentially going to eat this loss anyway. So I kind of want to get something out on it. you know?
Listen, man, unless someone in voice chat is sitting there going, "You fucking suck," I'm not going to be that guy.
Especially if you
I'm not going to be that guy that
you can vent it at, or people in
exactly.
Discord you can vent with.
Exactly. Anyway, Scarl, we're out of time. We gotta let you go. Did you? Okay. All right. There we go. Thank you guys for the calls. We appreciate it. We love hearing from you. It's actually a much more interesting show when we're hearing from you guys and getting calls. Yeah. So thank you to Meterman, Piggy, Zeldoria, and of course Skuro getting his final words there in at the end. That's going to do it this week for Final Encounter Cast.